Kill Complacency, a podcast that inspires growth and intentionality and helps you overcome your greatest obstacles.
My guest today is Cesar Espino.
Yep.
He had me on his podcast recently, and he's got a book called You Can Overcome Anything. And I kind of want to start right there.
Yeah.
If people can overcome anything, why don't they?
I believe the biggest challenge is we get too much into ourselves. Like we don't believe in ourselves, right? We also allow external factors or influences to take the best out of ourselves and tell us who we are not, right? We believe
the lies,
what people, right? What they want is exactly, right? And so a lot of times, you believe on people that there's so much like social media, so many things going on that you're like, maybe I cannot do this, right? Or people are always judging you. I believe that people can definitely overcome anything they want when they put themselves and their mind into it. It's not going to come all easy. There's different, not only work that needs to be done, but also you have to change who you are to become someone different.
And you very much had to do this. So Cesar, tell us your backstory on why you wrote a book on it, why you podcast about it.
Yeah, it's exactly that. I mean, I felt like the society, I felt the external factors, the world, everybody was telling me, no, you cannot do this, right? And it really starts with, I'm going to take you way back. It really starts from the day that I was born. And I say that because, I was born into a very poor family. My biological father to this day, don't even know his name. And I was only born to a family of four. My mom's mom, my grandma, who I call mom, and then my older brother. I'm originally from Mexico. I was born in Mexico City. I'm originally from Mexico City. And, again, we were born into poverty. We didn't have anything. I remember I was living in this place, I called it home, but a very small place, almost about 250 square feet. Okay, imagine that for four people, very, very small. Yet I called that my house or my home, and it wasn't even our property. Like we were renting this from somebody else, right? So it wasn't really that. But for me as a kid, it's like, hey, that's all I knew. And the challenge with that too is though growing with that environment. Not only were we in a very small place, number one, it wasn't ours. Number two, it was made out of sheet metal, plywood, no running water, no electricity, really right in the dirt. And so that was my reality. As a lot of kids is like, especially in those areas, is like, okay, you're born into this, so you're kind of already conditioned that the society, right, or the external factors are telling you that's who you're going to become. You're going to grow up being that person. And so it wasn't until like the age of 4, I was literally 4, 3 months after I turned 4, my mom decided to take her leap of faith. She decided to take her leap of faith because she decided to leave my older brother and myself with my grandmother so that she can come to the States. Now, mind you, as a kid, and again, these are a lot of things that we go through. Like we have all these external things happening and also internal things happening as you're growing up. Everything that you go through from 0 to 7 is going to stay in your life unless you work through those different things, right? And so for me, my mom decided to take her leap of faith. But in my mind, as a kid, I'm like, wait, what is going on? I have no father. My mom is leaving me. Does she not love me? And so you start seeing these things without realizing the sacrifices that somebody's doing for you. That became a turning point for myself because my mom left. From that point forward, I had to. This is not one of those things where I wanted to. I had to start working at an early age. At the age of 4.5, I was already working. We used to make these taquitos and cookies and different things that we could sell at the tianguis or like a flea market, right? For us to be able to just make some money. And one of the things that I really love my grandma for is that she wanted us to go to school. She wanted us to make sure that we're getting the education, right? At least going through that system because that's all she knew. Except coming out of school from elementary, I was not like any other kid where you can go out and play soccer or go and just, hang around and do things. Like literally I would go from school to my house if we had anything to eat, do my homework, and then literally work all the way through to get ready for the next day. Okay. And there was times that we didn't have anything to eat and we had what I call the Mexican specialty dish, which to this day I still like, to be honest with you, but it's like a tortilla with grain of salt. And that's all we had to eat from day in and day out, right? Again, society, external factors were conditioning me to that is all I know. Us working at the flea market was not enough. We were not making enough money for us to be able to survive. Again, never had toys, never had parties, never had anything. And so my grandmother decided to get a sewing machine for herself, for my older brother, and for myself. So the three of us had a sewing machine, and now we were sewing clothing to, again, be able to make money. And I remember we got this like 50-gallon bags of clothing, and we had to take the bus about an hour and a half into the city to go and turn in the clothes so that we can get the money. And luckily, we never got got robbed or anything like that. But again, going through all of those different things. So
how old were you
to
when
an
you started
extent,
sewing?
I was about 7.
7. Okay.
So now I joke about it, and I said, hey, Halloween is just coming around. It's just around the corner. If you want a Halloween costume, let me know. I can probably make that for you.
Your mom's completely out of the picture?
So she was in the picture, but she couldn't come back to Mexico. She was in contact and things like that, but I never thought she was ever going to come back.
Yeah.
And she came back, and, fast forward to like when I was 10, right? She came back, and finally, the person that I see as my dad, who's my stepdad, they got together. And so he's also from Mexico. She came back and told my grandma, I'm ready to take my kids with me to the States. I didn't believe it, to be honest with you. I didn't think it was going to happen. And she did, and I'll be honest, at the end of the day, it's part of my story. And I talk about it in my very first book, exactly this. It wasn't an easy transition to come to the States. First of all, I did come here illegally. So I had to, like you see all those movies, I had to literally cross the border at the age of 10. And that was not easy. There was a lot of things that I saw that, again, even seeing people going through that, the people that are supposed to protect you, quote unquote, or bring you to this better land are the ones that are abusing you and taking advantage of you and doing all these different things. Nevertheless, it took about 2 weeks for me to be able to actually cross the border and come to the States. And we landed here in Los Angeles. I've been here since then. And honestly, I felt out of place, man. I feel like I didn't belong. Just like many times we in life go through different things, different lessons, and you feel like, you know what? I'm out of place. This is not for me. Because I was so afraid of being in this great country because I didn't understand the language. I didn't know anybody. I didn't really know my mom, to be honest with you. I mean, she was absent, in my life. Although I will talk to her, she was absent for 6 years, right? Nothing against her. I love my mom dearly now, except again, during that time, I knew no one.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I had to deal with in school is, number one, I was being bullied because I couldn't understand the language. People I didn't belong, right? And so one time I got into a huge fight with my stepdad, and I said, I don't belong here. Send me back. I don't want to be here. Just send me back. And here's the lesson that I want to live with this little thing here is that sometimes we are so comfortable and we want to go back to that place of being comfortable, that place of just, that's what I know.
That's what we like.
And so therefore I want to do that. Right. And so for me, I was comfortable being poor. I was comfortable, sewing for a living. I was comfortable working. I was comfortable doing all those things, not realizing that I got to be a little bit uncomfortable to realize that my future self might have a chance at life if I just surrender. So I surrender, not to give up. I surrender to understand that I'm in a different place. And if I take that for what it is and make the best out of it, my future self might have a better chance. So I'm glad my stepdad didn't take me back. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this conversation. And at the same time, I said, you know what? Yeah, I need to just my new normal. I have to make the best out of that. Within 2 years, I learned the language. I was able to communicate. I became a straight A student. I was involved in everything that you can think of, right? And so things were going good. And then at the age of 15, something happened, something that I didn't expect. The girl that I was dating, we got pregnant. Right. So now I'm here 15, just being here 5 years. And now I'm a kid having a kid. And so I had my daughter at the age of 16.
I love that you're sharing this, Cesar. This is good.
Thank you. So at the age of 16, I had my daughter and I'm here like, man, what am I going to do? Like literally, like I'm a kid having a kid. At that point, I'm still was going through my little process. It's like, man, what's going on? So again, I felt like I got knocked down again, right? Society knocking me down. My daughter's mom. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make one promise to you. And the promise that I'm going to make to you is that our daughter is not going to go through the same things that I went through. I'm going to make sure that our daughter does not have to suffer or work at the age of 5 like we did, right? And more than anything, I'll make sure that I'm going to be in her life. Unlike my father, who I don't know, hasn't been there.
Yeah.
So now she became my why, my motivation.
Wow.
That reason at age 15 and 16 to say, heck yeah, I'm not going to drop out of school. Heck yeah, I'm going to do whatever I can to be there for my daughter. And I'm going to work my ass off to make this work. And so I did. I never joined gangs. I never got into any of that life. I didn't choose that negative path, in my opinion, or that path of influence that a lot of times I do believe people go through that path because they feel empty. I'm like, no, my daughter's my motivation. And so I worked really hard in high school. I had pretty much every class was an AP class. I excelled in academics, but it got too overwhelming that I had to drop out of my AP classes to just regular basic, classes because I couldn't sustain the amount of work because literally take an hour bus to go to school, get out of high school, take another hour bus to go to Century City and work. I went to Los Angeles High School, so it's about an hour away, and take a bus to go work at the movie theater. AMC Theaters. That was my very first job, making like $3.75 back then, and come back at 11:30, take the bus, get home and do my homework, and did that for literally 2 years. And after that, I decided to continue my school. And a lot of things happened throughout that, went into corporate America, got involved with really bad things, and just things were just keep knocking me down. And I'm going to fast forward, but it wasn't until the age of almost 38 that I decided, you know what? If I look back in my life, I've done so much. Currently investing in real estate. I have multiple books. I speak on stages. I get on podcasts. Thank you for having me. Do all these things. I said, what if I can write this book about my story? Here's another lesson that I learned through that process, though. And a lot of times we as people, we talk ourselves out of doing something because we don't believe in ourselves. Okay. I wanted to write this book, came about, and I said, okay, let me write this book. And then literally I was having this conversation with myself. Picture this, looking myself in the mirror and say, hey, Cesar, who are you kidding? Nobody cares about your story. Okay. First of all, you don't even like to read. So why would you even bother? No one's going to buy your books. You're not going to impact anybody. Don't even bother. I literally talked myself out of writing the story or the book because, again, I didn't believe in myself. So I let it be for about 3 months. And then I went to a self-development seminar, which I believe a lot on personal growth and helping yourself in any trade for that matter. And I had a vision and I said, you know what? So what? So I changed the way I see things and the framing. And I said, so what? So what if nobody buys my book? What about if I do this for me? I say self-accomplishment, because we as human beings like to know when we accomplish. We get excited when we buy the first car, got our first, cell phone, got our first house. We like that. And second thing is, what if I do this for my daughter? What about if I can leave something behind so that she can see all the different things that I went through to get to this point? And then her kids can see that. So I changed the framing of how I wanted the outcome to be, which I realized that if we're doing things for profits, in my opinion, I think we're doing it wrong, because the profits can come and go when you're just working on the profits. But if you do it for purpose, the profits are going to come.
Well, the problem with doing it for profit is it's hollow and empty, because there's never enough and you want more.
Yeah, exactly. I seen that a lot, right? You get into this business of whatever that might be, and you're like, yeah, I got this whole lot of money, but then again, you're empty, or it'll die down. It's not sustainable. Yeah. Right. And so I changed the framing. The minute that I changed the framing, within 3 months, I got my first book published, and I was so excited to get messages from people that I've never met and saying, hey, your story has impacted me positively. You've changed things in my trajectory. I had one guy that was following me on Facebook, and he said, man, I've been wanting to write a poetry book, but I didn't think I can do it. And you just gave me the motivation to go out and do it. Now he has 6 different poetry books. Wow. And so the reason why I chose the title, You Can Overcome Anything, even when the world says no, is because I feel that was my life. I had to overcome so many different obstacles, from working at an early age to coming to this country, to not be bullied, to overcome the fact that, hey, I had a kid at an early age. Everybody already sees you as you're going to be a failure. People were talking down on me because they felt like you're not going to be there for your daughter, to even going through corporate America and going to school. I have a master's degree in business administration. I went to school. I'm educated. I went through all of that. And people said, you're not going to make it. And so for me, I feel like that's the reason why I'm you know what? This title resonates with my life, and there's so many different lessons that have been learned through the process. And so I do believe that we could overcome anything. I do believe that once you set your mind into it and you have a game plan, right, a target. I don't necessarily believe on goals, and not that I don't care for them. I don't believe on goals, because everybody has goals. Everybody has New Year resolutions, and unfortunately with goals, it's just hey, I want to lose weight. That's kind of the underlining. That's it. There's nothing else behind that. I'd rather focus on not goals but targets. Sure. Let's talk about targets better, because now you have something you're going to be aiming at, and you're going to create a game plan for that, right? And so I do believe that people can get there. I want to rewind just a little bit and ask a question. Sure. What was harder to overcome? Do you think it was your circumstances or your mindset? Because you talk about mindset a lot, but is it the chicken or the egg? Yeah, exactly. I believe the biggest thing to overcome is going to be your mindset. That's something that I've learned. Again, we are conditioned by society, external factors, friends, family, whatever, right? To believe that your reality is your reality, right? But that's an external factor. Now, if you start believing that, if you actually do truly believe that, then you become that. You become what you believe, right? Imagination is created, right, in your mind first, ideas, right? And then becomes a reality, right? And so I do believe that is your mindset. The second thing is reality is created by validation too, right? Sure. So when you see somebody else that might have probably from the same place that you came from or had the same challenges as you did, and you see them really making it, then you're going to now ask yourself, well, if they didn't, I can do it. Yeah. What do I need to do different, right? And so I do believe that mindset is huge. And that's one thing that throughout the years, again, if I go back to when I was in Mexico, I do believe that I have this drive because of the fact that I started working early. But just because you're doing it in one way doesn't mean it's the right way. There's things that I had to still learn throughout the process. And again, even after I got my master's degree and I got involved with more like self-development and started seeing things from a different perspective, I realized that I needed to tune out and get rid of certain things that were just not serving me, right? The way I see life now too is if something is not adding to my life and is subtracting from my life, then I don't need that. And whether that's a thing or a person, they fall into that category.
Yeah. I want to talk about one more thing. You mentioned this early on in our podcast, and I think you said limiting beliefs or lies, but talk to me about that, about how limiting beliefs, lies, like what were some limiting beliefs you believed about yourself at an early age that you had to overcome? How did you overcome those things? Because I think that's huge. I mean, that's what helps us align our mindset. Once the switch goes, then our enemy, the confrontation's the lies, right? And it's telling us we can't do it. I mean, you talked about it with your book writing, but talk to the listeners about how they overcome lies, limiting beliefs in their attempt to overcome anything.
I think we have to, first and foremost, we got to understand what is the one thing that we might want to do, right? Different things we can kind of look into, right? But, something very simple, let's just assume that, hey, I want to run the LA Marathon, for instance, right? And you might be telling yourself, well, I've never been athletic. I never run. I never done any of that. And so right away, you're already telling yourself, just by that, you're already telling yourself the things, right, that you're not good at. So instead of focusing on the negative aspect or the negative connotation of whatever that might be, let's look at the positive things, okay? Even if you have never done something, start thinking about, okay, well, I've never done this, and what can I do so I can get closer to achieving that goal or that target, right? And so I believe that we as human beings are very easy in judging ourselves first and foremost, right? We are very easy in judging ourselves. Number two, we are very easy on talking ourselves out of doing something.
Yeah.
So you have to first and foremost believe that if you have an idea and you want to do something, whatever that might be, that you have to believe that, hey, I can do it, and I need to understand and get all of the available data to be able to get there. So here's another one. When I started my podcast, maybe about 4 years now, I also had something that, again, I was going through this and I'm like, can I really do a podcast? Are people going to listen? Am I going to have guests? All these different things. Again, just looking at the negative aspect, right? And I said, you know what? I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted to have the right background, the right music, everything to be perfect. And I realized something though, that nothing's going to be perfect. But if you're waiting for that moment to be perfect, you're never going to take action towards that.
Yeah. When I was on the fence about starting my podcast, I heard a quote. It's been my mantra ever since. And you don't have to be great to start, but you got to start to be great. And if I go back and look at my first few podcasts, Cesar, they're terrible. I'm embarrassed by them. But because of that quote and because of your point here, I was willing to try. And when we show up consistently, things get better. So yeah, the guy trying to run the marathon, like if he just shows up regularly for a walk or a run, he'll get so he can do it.
Right. Exactly. Here's another example, right? Like, you want to lose weight. You don't like the gym and just like, this is not for me, right? But you want to lose weight. And it's not about the gym. It's about the actions. It's about the things you're doing. So what if you decide today that you're going to have, either lose weight or have a more healthy life? Well, what about if you just start with, okay, if you don't want to go to the gym, don't do anything. Just get up and put your shoes right next to your bed, your workout shoes. Okay. And maybe day one, you don't do anything. Day number two, just put them on. Don't do anything. Just put them on. You don't even have to go nowhere. Just put on the shoes. Day number three, maybe, walk to your car. So you see where I'm going with this? Yeah. Gradually, you're taking those little steps, those little actions to where eventually you're going to wake up and you're like, crap, I'm outside of the gym. I might as well just go inside and lift one weight. Okay.
Yeah.
Then do it again. And so again, I think part of it is when we're looking at how can you overcome the things that you're being faced with is by one, stop talking down or negative about the situation to yourself. And number two, believe, have faith. Just what's the worst that could happen? That you don't get the results you're looking for or that you didn't 100%, but you started something that eventually is going to lead into something else.
Yeah. My wife and I were talking about this today, how a lot of people, they have the goal, the target, and they immediately get defeated in their head because it's too big.
Right.
And just to your point, they don't realize that if they will just put the shoes on, walk to the car, like it's all these little baby steps, but the baby steps are going to get them to the target, to the goal, without them even realizing it. And it's not going to be that hard because it was so gradual. But that's what people feel. And China's got that term Kaizen, right? Is that?
Yep.
Yeah. Take the smallest step, make it easy.
Yep. It's that continuous improvement. It's a really good term. I remember in one of my last corporate jobs, I utilized a lot of the Kaizen principles to be able to do that. Again, do not get overwhelmed by the big idea, right? Like you said, we got to take those baby steps. You got to chunk it down, right? I always talk to some of my people that I'm coaching, and they're like, how can I make this work? And I give them this very same example. Let's just assume that you've never been out of the country and you want to go to Paris, and you've never been to Paris, right? Let's start with the end in mind. What is the end in mind? The end in mind is that I want to go to Paris.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
The target.
That's the big ask. Now let's chunk it down so that you don't see the overall picture, because if you do, you're gonna start thinking about, oh my God, it's gonna be so much money. How am I gonna get? Like, you're gonna just get overwhelmed with all these different things. Chunk it down, start with the end in mind, and then work backwards, right? And say, okay, what do I need to do right now? If you believe that that trip is gonna cost you $10,000, let's just assume, right? All right, don't worry about that $10,000. It's like, what can I do today or this week that's gonna help, fit into that?
Yeah.
And so on and so forth, right? And start working through that. I believe that when you take your life to that level where you really want to become someone different. If you can get better 1% or every day, today I got better than yesterday. By the end of this year, or by the end of 365 days, you're gonna be 365% better than who you were.
Maybe even better than that, because you just did 1%. A lot of times you show up to gym on day 6, and instead of staying for 1 minute, you stay for 10, and
correct,
the bigger percentage.
Yeah. 100%. Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about mornings. I know you love mornings. Why are mornings important, especially on this topic?
Yeah. Again, we go back to the idea of the mindset, right? I wasn't like this before. I was inundated with, back then when I used to work for corporate America, with emails and text messages. I got to hurry up, and I got to do this, and I got to do that. And now, literally, like for me, my morning, I wake up, and every now and then I slip. I'm not going to lie. I'm not perfect. Probably pick up my phone and say, okay, did somebody text me? But it would be like really quickly. And then I'm like, all right, I got to put her away. And for me, I like to do the mornings. Some people like to meditate. Some people like to do different type of yoga exercise and things like that. For me, I just like to go out. I mean, I'm not in the mountains. I'm in the city, right? In LA. I like to go out into nature, right? I like to go out and walk. And for me, it just gives me that kind of, not only helping my body, but it's giving me that reset so that I can begin my day, right? I'm also old fashioned. I have a notebook, right? Where I write down the things that I want to accomplish or the things that I need to do for the day, right?
Yeah.
And so I do all of that either when I get up, and like most of us, brush my teeth, get ready. And the first thing I do is put on some workout clothes and go out for a walk, either walk or a run for 45 minutes, come back. And then again, look at, okay, what are the things that I have to accomplish right now? And then through that walk, I'm either thinking of the things that I want to do. Very important that I started doing. I don't really listen to garbage. And so either I'll put on my headsets and I'll listen to like a Jim Rohn or Les Brown or somebody motivation or something just to inspire me. And or if I listen to music, it's going to be something that's going to get me up and going, putting me in a good state of mind, right? Because I do believe that that's very important.
You said, I don't listen to garbage. What's garbage?
Yeah. I do believe everything is a program, right? I mean, I don't watch news.
Yeah.
There's nothing good about
I just
news,
get news from everybody else.
Exactly. Like
if it's bad enough, they're going to tell me.
Exactly. Right. And so it's the same thing. Like there's music, there's content, there's, because some people might listen to news or might listen to music that if it's talking about killing and murdering people or whatever that might be, right? Like the lyrics, right? Then you're programming your subconscious mind to believe that, right?
Yes.
That nothing good is going to come out of that, right? And so I don't listen to anything that is not going to really serve me. Again, going back to the idea, if it's not adding to my life and it's going to subtract from my life, I don't want to listen to that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's just becoming a distraction.
I agree. I just wanted you to define it because you kind of said it and then you talked about what you do. And I don't think that people take that serious because, we've got one life. We've got a limited amount of time. We can get more money. We can get more possessions, but we can't get more time. And so in my opinion, like what I'm going to watch movie wise or TV wise or what I'm going to listen to, it's going to be good. And if it's not, I'm not going to finish the book or I'm not going to finish the song or whatever. Like shut it off, move out. My wife walked out of a movie this week because she said it wasn't worth my time.
Yeah. You said it like, I like how you said the most precious things that we have and people don't know it. There's two things I believe. Number one is that between both your ears, your mind.
Yes.
But we don't know how to utilize it, right? And that came to us at birth for free. Like we didn't have to pay for that.
Yes.
But people do not utilize that. They rather actually pay for something that's not going to serve them.
Yes.
The second thing is you said it, time. We are here today and we are gone tomorrow. We don't know when we're going to be here. We don't know how much time we have. And so I do believe that you can lose your significant other. You can lose your house. You can lose your job. You can literally be poor, have no money tomorrow. And honestly, I'll be okay with that. Not that I want it to happen to me. And I'll be okay with that because as long as I have my mind and I have time, I can recoup from that.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that people said, well, what about if I'm going through a very major obstacle in my life, a very major challenge? I'm in press. I'm going through negative emotions, suicidal thoughts. I get that. And I don't want no one to go through that. Again, though, when you start working through your mind and you start working on your mind, you're probably not going to get to that point point, and I do believe that, you probably are not going to get to that point because your mind is in a different place. If you've never worked on your mind, if you looked at garbage, if you listen to garbage, if you're listening to external factors or even family members that are not really giving you good advice,
yes,
then yeah, you get to that low point, you might have those thoughts. But if not, you might have them, but you're going to be able to recoup rather quickly.
Yeah, that's well said. I couldn't agree more. You mentioned someone that wants to get healthy earlier. And my immediately thought was the easy thing to replace is a sugary drink. Like just replace your pop with water and it would be big. But I think the same is true here. Like replace what's influencing you, media, with things of truth, things that are going to help you grow. And it will be amazing how fast your mindset will grow and how fast the discipline in other areas of your life will be inspired just by switching what you allow to influence yourself.
Right. 100%.
They need to start with your books, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly what it is. It falls right in line for that. I do believe that.
Yeah. Talk to me, Cesar, because you coach people, you've seen people. Talk to me about the guy that is steady at discipline and he shows up and he's just building this discipline, and the guy that starts and stops. Like, what's the advantages? What's the disadvantages?
Yeah. One of the things that I tell people, like, it really starts with that. You really want this for you. You need to want that change. I also believe, though, that people need a little bit of accountability and they do need the little push. I get that. Sometimes, you have people like us, right, that have to believe in you, even when you don't believe in yourself.
Yeah.
To be able to get over that hump. And I'm okay doing that as long as you're willing to listen to the criticism, the positive criticism, and the advice that I'm going to give you. The challenge is, though, is that people don't want to do not even the hard things, the easy things. Like
they like their comfort.
It's not even, yeah, exactly. Right. It's not even, I had this one coaching student and I said something very, very simple. He came with me for some advice and I said, okay, had some bad habits, drinking habits.
Yeah.
That was really bringing him down. I think one of the first things you need to do, I gave him a journal. I created a journal. I say, here's what I want you to do right now. I want you to begin with, number one, I'm not saying to cold turkey cut drinking, but you got to cut back. Number one. Number two, I want you to start journaling. I want you to start writing every day, journaling. What are you grateful for? Okay. What are the things that you want to change today? And just do that. Do those two things. What are you grateful for? And what are the things you want to change? And then the next day, do the same thing, but also do a reflection on the previous day.
Yes.
Just do that every day. And that was one very, in my opinion, very simple, easy assignment to do. And he just didn't do it. And so I can show you where the door is.
Yes.
But you have to walk through that door. I can probably take you all the way through the border, through the frame, and I can probably push the first time, but you have to want to walk through that door. Right. And so I think, that's the difference between the ones that they had enough. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if that journal is going to do anything for me, or I don't know if, me reading a you can overcome anything type of book is gonna do anything for me, right? Let me go read Harry Potter. Nothing against them, right? But you get my point. Read something that's going to help you,
yes,
right, in where you are right now, in the place you are right now.
Do the fluff fiction after,
right?
You put good stuff in. Let it be a reward, because it's kind of like dessert, right? You just always eat dessert. It's not good. Like, you've got to eat the real stuff. So
yep. 100%.
We got to feed our mind the same way.
100%. And I talk about that very last chapter of my book. I actually kind of have a whole chapter of things that I did, through that transition. Talked about affirmations. I actually even give people different affirmations. And literally I did this. Like, I still have it on my thing every morning. I'll go through them. I'll read them. And I said, I am loved. I am wanted. I am a great salesperson. I'm a great father. I even put that. It has to be anything.
Yeah.
And so I talked about all the different things, right? So I talked about my affirmations. I talked about journaling. I talked about kind of what you just said right now. Just like you would if you're going to the gym and you want to feed your body with the correct ingredients and nutrients so that you have a good body, you got to do the same thing with your mind.
Yes.
You got to do the same thing. You got to feed it the right stuff, right? So I talk about all those things because I think they're important. I do believe a huge part of your success is going to be how you encounter and look at life and the relationships that you build along the way.
Yeah.
You have to be okay to say, hey, you're my family and I love you from far away because you're not serving.
Yeah, it's hard. What's the biggest excuse you see people make for not being able to overcome anything?
I don't have time. I get that all the time. I was out this weekend in Washington, D.C., helping some people with real estate coaching and, looking at getting them into something, right? And two things that I hear every time I'm out on the road talking to people is I don't have time. That's the first one, or the most big one. And then the other one, I'll do it later,
They think
right
that
now,
all the time.
Correct. So I don't have time and I'll do it later. This is the best advice that I can tell these people. I'm like, okay, well, first and foremost, I can guarantee you two things. Number one, I wish I could have have your time, but I don't. I have the same amount of time as you do. Everybody has the same amount of time. And I get it. We'll have different habits, different priorities. I don't think it's about, when I was in corporate America, they say you have prioritized your task. And I don't necessarily think it's about prioritizing your task. It's more about time management. You have to manage your time better.
Sure.
And the priorities are going to fall into place. Two things that I tell people. Number one is I can guarantee right now that if we were to do an inventory of what you do from the moment that you wake up to the moment that you go to sleep, like we write down every single thing, every minute, whatever you do, I can guarantee you that we're going to find probably about an hour or more per day. All that's streaming, all this unnecessary. But people, they're like,
just give me your phone and let me see your screen time and we'll find time.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And so when you start doing an inventory of the things you do on a day-to-day basis, you're going to realize that you can find time to do the things you need to do. The second thing I tell people is, you know what I hear from younger people that are in their early 20s? I tell people, what I hear from the people that are in their early 20s, like, I have plenty of time. I'll do it later. Okay. You know what I hear from people that are like in their 60s or 70s? I wish I would have done it sooner.
Yeah.
And so I go back to the idea, we are here today and we are gone tomorrow. The best time to plant a tree was how long ago? Like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? In today.
Yeah.
And so waiting is not going to make things better. I think, again, going back to that and realizing that today is the best day. Today is the best day that I can give my future self a better life.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good stuff. Cesar, what's something you're doing right now that your future self is going to say thank you for?
I think being consistent for sure. I think being consistent going into this 2026, this new year and the first quarter.
Q1's over.
Yeah, Q1's over, man. I wanted to, more than anything, I wanted to look at my priorities, look at different things. I think as you're getting older, there's a couple of different things you want to focus on, I guess, more so. And so to me now, I'm getting more of the idea of I still want to continue to impact. I still want to be able to help people. I want to also take my personal life with my family closer. And then I'm working on a couple of different things that I want to really do in the future to where I can not only impact myself directly, but I can have a bigger outreach. And so I think just being consistent, taking care of my body, that's one thing that I'm trying to do more so now too. As I'm getting older, I'm realizing that I need to. I'm not 20 or 30 anymore. I think just the habits and things that I'm doing, my future self is going to be like, I'm glad you did it because, we're here. We're still here, right? Versus taking my life to a whole new level.
That's good. If you could go back and give advice to your younger self, what would you tell him?
I would say I started my entrepreneurial journey a little bit late in life. And what I mean by that, I started investing when I was 25, real estate investing. But I was also working my 9 to 5, then to go back to school, got my master's. And I literally worked a 9 to 5 until like I was 38. In the meantime, I was doing wholesale, fix and flips, things here and there, right? I would say if I can go back, I would tell my past, I should have believed in myself more because I didn't believe. I didn't have the mindset. Getting involved and I was doing things, but I was not playing full out.
Yeah.
So if anything, I would say, hey, play full out. Take that leap of faith. Just do it.
Yeah.
Because the worst, especially when you're younger, the worst that could happen if it doesn't go right, fine. I guess you can go back and
you have more time to recover. Yeah.
Yeah. You have plenty of time to recover. Whereas people wait later in life to do it. And at that point, you just have to do it, man. And it's a little bit harder, right? So for me, it will probably be play full out. Number one. Number two, if you feel it and you see it and it's there, definitely take that leap of faith. And then the last one, I think I should have worked on my mind and my surroundings and my network a lot sooner.
Yeah, that's good. There was a book or a quote that has impacted you. What would it be?
From a book perspective, I really enjoy Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Anything from him I think is really, really good. I love that. But there's one quote that really resonated with me is from Les Brown in my exercise. And he said, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. If you do what is hard, your life will be easy. And when I think of that, I'll give you an example, right? Even if I put myself into that place, right? Back when I was working for corporate America, working 13 hours a day. So again, if you do what is easy, your life will be hard, right? It's easy for me to come home tired, sit on the couch, watch TV. It is easy for me to get out of work, go to the bar, have a couple of beers, because I used to do that. It is easy for me to just go out and get the hamburger or the French fries, right? Again, if you do what is easy, that's the easy stuff, you're going to see the after fact, the effects of that. It's going to be hard. Let's flip that around. If I do what is hard, it is hard for me to come home after 12 hours of a long day and get on my computer and work on my real estate investing or work on whatever it is that I'm working on.
Yeah.
It is hard for me to say no to the pizza and actually cook a meal that is going to give me the nutrients that I want. It is hard for me to get up early in the morning and journal or go and do the exercise.
Yeah.
But the results are going to be positive.
That's good. My last question for you, if this was your final message, what do you want your signature message to be to the world?
Do not cheat on your future with your past. Okay. What I mean by that is that oftentimes we as people, again, we are living in the past. We're holding on to the past, and we have to look at the past as a experience, a learning experience.
Yeah.
We have to extract the lessons that work and utilize them in our present for our future, or look at the lessons that we learn we're not going to do today so that we can have a better tomorrow.
Yeah.
So do not cheat on your future with your past, yourself, right? The second thing that I would say is, like my book says, I do truly believe that you can overcome anything when you align yourself, you put yourself in a place where you really want to make that change for yourself. I think you can overcome it.
Yes.
It's just a matter of aligning yourself to the right place.
It's powerful.
Awesome.
Cesar, how do people follow, read your books? How do they learn more about you?
Yeah, definitely. Very easy. You can just Google my name, Cesar R. Make sure you put the R, Cesar R. Espino. Or you can go to my website, CesarRespino.com. All social media, Cesar R. Espino.
Well, thank you so much for being on. This was fun.
Thank you, Marty, for having me. Really enjoyed it. And thank you for having me as a guest.
Just wanted to thank you guys for listening to the end. In closing, I just wanted to add that if this message resonates with you, if it aligns with your values and something in it today triggered something, then you can also look me up on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. We are really trying to help people live more intentional lives to kill the complacency with which they have subscribed to. I know there's many ways in which I get sucked in all the time. So if this is beneficial, follow me there.